Hello, good morning. Today, I want to talk to you about the need for having an explicit positive reporting system. Our work environment is shrouded with low morale, negativism, and burnout, and I believe that this will be an important weapon in this fight. I have titled this as Moving from Safety 1 to Safety 2, and I will explain why during the course of this presentation. I'm most grateful to Dr. Adrian Plunkett, who established Learning from Excellence, or LFE, for allowing me to use various resources from his website. I've broken this talk into several sections. Kindness is the linchpin for this talk, and positive experience reporting system allows one to express this kindness formally. I will talk how this fits into safety, how we can capture the positive experiences, how we can implement this in workplace. And that's not all. I will also explain how we can take this to the next level by appreciative inquiry and learn and amplify positive actions. Now I will go through all the 5 sections in turn. The first section is my understanding of the difference between Safety 1 and Safety 2. This was first described by Professor Holnagel and Professor Weir in their white paper. Let me explain. What is safety? Most of us would agree that in the simplest form, safety is when there is no negative outcomes or absence of errors. What runs through your mind when you look at this? I bet everyone was very quick in picking out the error. This is how human mind works. It can easily pick up an error, but generally not something that is good. 80% of the sum in the table is correct, but we talk about the 20% which is not right. In day-to-day activities, however, much higher percentage of things go well, but we tend to focus on things that have not gone well. In the white paper written by the 2 professors, they point out to this exact conundrum. You can see from the bell-shaped graph that a lot of things go well. Safety 1 focuses on things that are on the left side in red. It is generally a very small percentage of events. However, in the real world, despite many variables, often things go well. It is usually not a priority for an organization to try and understand how and why things went well. They do look for exceptional achievements and reward them infrequently. In contrast, Safety 2, the focus is on the middle part of the outcome where things generally go well and do not have any negative things. Safety 1 focuses on few things that go wrong in a system. It is more a reactive management. The aim of this is to identify a cause for the negative outcome and to address this so that it will not repeat again. This is usually done by root cause analysis. Here, humans are generally considered to be a liability. But in contrast, Safety 2 accepts that many of the things go right and look at the reason why something went well and tries to amplify this by using appreciative inquiry. Critical difference between the 2 systems are how they deal with human factors. Even though the holes in the Swiss cheese should line up for an error to materialize, not too infrequently, a root cause analysis may leave a sour taste in the mouth of those involved and make them feel a part of the problem. However, in Safety 2, humans are looked with positive eyes and the ways to identify and amplify their good actions are considered. This certainly will leave a much more positive feel in the person involved. Whatever type of safety system and safety measures are put into place, bad things still will happen. In a similar way, exceptionally good things will still happen even when there are hindrances in the system. The bad things are captured by GREATix. The exceptional things are sometimes rewarded with CEA points or Staff Hero Award or alike. A lot of good things are usually brushed aside as normal and is considered to be an expected outcome. We neither have a way to identify the simple good acts, nor do we reward them. How can we do that? Enter Learning from Excellence. LFE is a movement started by Dr. Adrian Plunkett, who has devoted so much of his time and energy to promote recognition of positive actions. LFE originally called reporting of positive actions as excellence reporting. You can know more about this by visiting their website, which has wealth of information. What is in the name? There are many different names for positive reporting system. As mentioned before, LFE called it as excellent reporting or ER. In Salisbury, they call this as SOC or sharing outstanding excellence. It can also be blandly called as PRS or positive reporting system. However, I like the word GREATix. GREATix was coined by Dr. Sinton when he was working with Dr. Plunkett in Birmingham. It was developed as a word play to contrast GREATix. Of course, if we want to give a local flavor, we can call this as repeat or reporting positive experiences at Torbay, or the previously established showing acts of kindness. But to prevent different names mushrooming out in our different centers, I think GREATix is an apt name for this system, and I'm sure GREATix would agree. Going back to the model developed by Professor Holnagel, we can now see where GREATix and GREATix fit in. GREATix will capture things that are not so good and address them via safety 1. GREATix could capture all the other positive related activities. Here is a summary table comparing GREATix and GREATix. Both GREATix and GREATix can be useful for clinical governance purposes, will help changes in the practice, will also be helpful for appraisal process. However, filling a GREATix form is quite time consuming, but we can make the GREATix form to be as simple as needed. The motivation for change comes via negative feedback in GREATix, whereas in GREATix, the motivation comes via positive feedback and amplifies all positive events. Positive experience reporting system or GREATix can improve quality, promote joy of work, learn from positive experience, amplify good practice, optimize patient experience, strengthen team, useful for staff appraisal, helpful in developing service, and more importantly, increase staff morale and foster innovation. Appreciation can make a day or even change a life. Your willingness to put it into words is all that is necessary. When one is appreciated, there's a lot of dopamine released in the brain which will counteract the stress and will help in improving the morale. Let me now move on to the next section of what is really needed for this positive reporting. To enable positive reporting, one needs to show appreciation to the colleagues. It does take a special level of attribute to show the appreciation. It is kindness. I believe that the key element for low morale is absence of kindness in the system. Just like darkness, it is not easy to define kindness. Absence of light can be noticed as darkness. So too, the absence of kindness. You will know it when the kindness is not there. Julia Unwin tries to tackle the lack of kindness in the conventional system in the article she wrote when she was the Carnegie Fellow. There is generally a degree of stigma attached to expressing kindness by the policymakers or the system in which one works. There is so much of negative connotation attached to it when it comes to recognizing and expressing kindness. I'll leave you with few quotes from her article. That's not all. She goes on to say kindness should be appropriately expressed. If kindness is not shown correctly, then it can be misunderstood as being patronizing or even as perceived as condescending behavior. It is very important for one to express kindness correctly, and that's not easy. Friedman and Foster showed that the approach anticipation or positive outcomes anticipation activates the right brain, and effects are reversed when there is a strong emotional cues leading to negative outcome. They suggest that people generally perform better when there is a positive outcome. In a much more simple experiment carried out by the crazy engineer Mark Rober, He showed that people perform better when there is no penalty attached to their action. A group of people were asked to solve a coding problem and make the car move through a maze. One group were penalized with imaginary negative points for getting it wrong, and the other group were not. When no penalty points were assigned, the group tried longer and harder to solve the problems and were more successful. When penalty point was imposed, the group that had lower points gave up early trying. So absence of negative feedback and presence of encouragement generally helps a person to achieve better. If kindness is shown correctly, and if good actions are appreciated appropriately, then that is evidence to show that workplace morale and professionalism will increase. There are many studies available that will triangulate to the fact that positive motivation will improve the work delivered. This will result in improved patient care. Some of the evidences for this are available in the LFE website. I've captured a selection of word cloud from various posters that were displayed that showed displaying kindness. Sometimes a simple thank you can make your day. I have tried to foster kindness in our department since 2016 via Showing Acts of Kindness campaign. Our mantra was to show one act of kindness per day. A 10-step guide was developed to nurture the kind working place. When I tried to promote this trust-wide, I came across barrier and lack of embracement of the principle was because everyone thought that they were doing it. One key element for SAC was to take a short break with your colleague for a coffee following the Swedish fika principle. One fika a day actually saves the day. Another area was to explicitly compliment juniors and colleagues, but I always struggled to record this formally. I therefore think GREATix methodology to be most suitable to spread peer-to-peer kindness and appreciation. Let me now move on to the third part or the next part of my talk. How do we GREATix? There's a lot of resources available in the LFE website. The LFE team have devised a toolkit to set up this process. There are a number of steps needed to establish to nurture this in the workplace. These are collaboration with the colleagues to set the system up, creation of a simple reporting system, passing positive feedback directly to the recipient, learning via appreciative inquiry, sharing that learning system-wide, finding out methods for amplifying this, and finally nurturing the whole system. I now know that we already have a link for filling out the excellence on our icon page. This has been there for 2 years, but unfortunately I was not aware of this, nor did any of my colleagues. It is important to create awareness for the system via newsletter, regular screensaver on the trust computer, etc., and thus we can hit refresh to this concept. I think we need to start small with 1 or 2 departments participating first. If we keep the form simple and easy to fill with drop-down options, then it will be much easier for one to complete it. It is also important to have a free text box showing appreciation so that the actual act is captured. I have shown some example forms for us to follow. It's very important to acknowledge the person who submits the report as well as the recipient. If we can create an automatic certificate generation, then it would be great too. Feedback needs to be anonymous to avoid creating competition and league table mentality. Gratitude can be expressed in an audit meeting. For the purpose of analysis later, it may be a good idea to have GREATix in different categories. I have shown some exemplar categories and have multi-select options. Let me now go to the final section of my talk. Appreciative inquiry is the key component to achieve learning from the reports. AI is the simplest form of expressing humble curiosity to find out how it all went well. It's well known that the system would move in the direction of what is discussed. In Safety 1, when root cause analysis is done, the problem that leads to poor outcome is usually identified and rectified. It moves the events from poor results to acceptable results. There is no drive to move this to an exceptional result. However, with AI, we could potentially move something that was good into exceptional for the future. Some selected GREATix should be discussed in audit meetings. In fullness of time, one could also try to get GREATix from patients. These reports should be shared with the senior management just like DATix. After all, after an AI, the next step would be to see if practices could be changed based on the positive feedback. There are a number of examples in the LFE website demonstrating how this can be achieved. For example, the Antibiotic Administration Audit or PRAISE project, which stands for Positive Reporting and Appreciative Inquiry in Sepsis, was much enhanced by GREATix. LFE QI projects are not just limited to Birmingham alone. Here are some of the QI projects that have stemmed from the LFE. So, in summary, why do we have to do or have a GREATix type system? The answer is, we need a formal system to find out how some things went so right. This will raise the morale, lead to positive changes, improve services, and share best practices. And to conclude, I would like to quote Dr. Plunkett. He says, "If you show people what they are doing well, they will do more of it. By doing so, we can shift the Holnagle curve to right and have more positive experience in our system." Thank you.